Hello there, welcome to another Barb Stamps video. Today we're going to talk about the Hey Chick stamp set that is part of Stampin' Up's Celebration promotion. This is the card today. We've got the chicken stamped on there with a couple of different greetings, some sequins. Down here at the bottom we use the hexagon embossing folder in a different way, and I will show you that. And then on the inside, I just added a piece of the designer series paper just to kind of keep with the theme, just to add a little pizzazz to the inside there. So we'll set that aside and we will get started. The first thing I want to do is stamp my chicken. And I've chosen to use a shimmery white paper. It's a little bit better for watercoloring than our Whisper White or our Very Vanilla. It's a little bit thicker. It's got a little bit of a coating on it, so it's a little bit better. So I did die cut one of the stitched shapes out of this particular paper, and that's what I'm going to do my coloring on. So I've got our basic black archival pad here. We're going to ink up Crazy Chicken. Stamp that right off to the side. There we have it. And then I also have the little greeting that says, "Have a happy day." Not upside down, that'd be terrible. So there's our "Have a happy day." So I'm going to set that aside to dry, so we'll continue with the rest of the card. So we're going to bring in our hexagon folder here. This is the hexagon folder. This is one of our dynamic folders. They're thicker than our normal folders, and they give a lot more of a 3D impression. I do have a piece of Delightful Dijon that I did run through this. The recommended use for this is to spritz your cardstock. I choose rubbing alcohol because it doesn't mess up the cardstock at all. Like water might, it dries instantly pretty much. And then I just run it through the folder, and so you get this really, really detailed design on here. It is definitely some 3D action, but we're not using the folder for this purpose, with this purpose in mind today. We are going to use it a little bit differently. What I'm going to do with the folder is I'm going to add ink to the inside of it. So I'm just going to tap my ink pad lightly over these hexagons. Okay. And then I'm going to take a piece of cardstock, same color, Delightful Dijon. I've laid it into the folder. I'm now going to close the folder, and I'm just going to press this so that the ink that's on the opposite side of the folder will now transfer to the cardstock. Let's see what happened here. So there you can see. And now instead of being hexagons, it looks like chicken wire. So yay, dual use for these folders. And then all you need to do to clean this is just run it under the faucet and let it dry, or dry it with a towel. It's totally fine. So now I need to cut my piece of paper to the right size that I need it. And I need it to be 1 1/4. Do our 1 1/4 inch mark here on our trimmer. 1 1/4. Now I can't remember all of a sudden. Let's measure this piece. What is this one? Oh, 4 7/8. That's right. Get it together, Barb. Get it together. Okay. 4 7/8. Done. So we've got that piece. This is going to be our Delightful Dijon layer, and I'm going to layer this strip down here. I've also got a piece of our diagonal striped designer series paper. This comes from our paper stack, and we've got 5 different paper stacks. One for each color collection, and you get 40 sheets of 12 by 12 card or designer series paper in these packets, and it's just amazing. And they're very nice neutral type patterns, so I mean they work with anything. I've been just using the heck out of these things, and word to the wise, this particular package will definitely be retiring at the end of this catalog year, because these are the old in colors, and the old in colors will be retiring, so you might want to get this. So we're going to start out by just layering our pieces onto this piece of Delightful Dijon. This piece of Delightful Dijon, this large piece, measures 3 3/4 by 5. I wanted just a tiny little border sticking out from behind the pattern paper and the chicken wire. And then after we get these on, we're going to add a piece of the Delightful Dijon striped ribbon. And I have that right here. So this is the striped ribbon. This will also be retiring because it's Delightful Dijon, and so they're not going to carry it anymore. It's a retiring color. So I'm just going to lay that, snip off edge. I'm going to grab my snail here and run it down the side of the card in the back, because I'm going to wrap my ribbon around to kind of cover up that seam that I created with those two pieces of paper. And then I'll just press it to the back so it'll stick onto the snail. Trying to eyeball it and making sure it's straight. It's, apparently my 50-year-old eyes are not working so good right now. Okay, so we've got that. We've got a card base here. This is our Whisper White thick cardstock. And this is my go-to cardstock when I want to use white as a base. It's extra thick. It just holds up really nicely. It doesn't start to bend over or buckle like the Whisper White can. When you're using it as a card base, it's really sturdy and it just holds a lot of layers. It's great. I highly recommend it. Okay, so we've got that done. Now we're going to add this extra little strip to the inside of the card here, and this is a 3/4 inch by 5.5 inch strip. There we go. Just going to line this up with the bottom edge of the inside of the card. Again, I apologize. Old eyes. All right. A little tiny bit hanging off the edge. Simple fix. We're just going to trim that right off. Okay, so there is our main card base. Now we're going to bring our chicken back in and we're going to watercolor this chicken. Now that's the reason I did use the basic black archival pad, because it does not bleed when you're watercoloring with it. So that and our StazOn inks are recommended for watercoloring. I'm going to be using our watercolor pencils, and these are in our Stampin' Up! Colors Fabulous. There are 12 of them in the set, and they have the name written on them. So you can see this one says Whisper White. We've got the Daffodil Delight, which is one that I need, Pumpkin Pie, and I also need the gray. Where's my gray? Here we go. Basic gray. So they all have their names on them. They have the colors at the bottom. And this is what we're going to use to watercolor. You can use your aqua painter or a blender pen. I'm going to use a blender pen because I'm using the shimmery white cardstock. I don't think it could handle an aqua painter. It might be too much water. So the blender pens come in a set of 3. I'm just going to pull one out of there. And now let me zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I want my chicken's crazy hair to kind of look like this, where I've got some two-tone action going on. And so to do that, I'm going to use the yellow and the pumpkin pie. So, which is Daffodil Delight, excuse me. So I'm just going to add some Daffodil Delight to this crazy hair here and to his tail a little bit. All right, I'm going to add some of the pumpkin pie also. And I don't really have any rhyme or reason to how I'm adding this. I'm just kind of throwing it on there because I know when I start to blend it, it's just going to look great. All right, we've got some pumpkin there. I just wanted to add a little bit of gray around his feet so he kind of looks like he's not just floating in the air, and maybe a little shadow on these places where Stampin' Up! Has already given us some shadowing. A little tiny bit on his nose. So I'm going to take my blender pen, take the lid off, and I'm just going to start kind of swirling this color around. And it does blend pretty well. You are kind of limited. Once it dries, you can't really shift it around anymore. So I recommend working, each spot until you're happy with it. Because you don't want to try to have to come back later and try to fix anything. So if you just kind of work with it. Whoops, that I may have a little too much. So I'm going to try to take some off. You can kind of see I'm scribbling after I'm touching this. Scribbling removes the color, so I'm kind of done with my gray. I want to move up to his crazy hair and his tail now. So I've scribbled off the rest of the gray, and I'm just going to start blending with my blender pen here, kind of blending those colors together. Like so. Get up to his crazy hair. Oh my gosh, I just love this hair. I guess it could be her hair, right? And again, you can scribble off if you're getting too much color. Too much of one color, and you maybe want to, have a little more yellow and not so much of the pumpkin pie, then you can scribble that off and move over it. Now I think I need a little bit more of the pumpkin pie right kind of in the center of the chicken's head here. So I'm just going to scribble a little bit more on there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Scribble the rest of that off to clean it, put the lid back on. And there is our super fabulous chicken. So we'll bring the main card back in, and I'm just going to add this right here. And I guess I'm going to use dimensionals. So I'm going to take a couple of the dimensionals, and I'm going to put one at the top and one at the bottom, because I want to try to go over to straddle the ribbon. All right, we're going to get that on there, and I want to leave enough room underneath to add a little bit of bling. Now on this card, I did use some of our metallic sequin assortment sequins, the more faceted ones. But for this card, I kind of wanted to try out and see what these metallic enamel shapes would look like. And when I'm using the metallic enamel shapes, I like to use my piercing tool to pick them up off of the sheet that they come on, because I don't really have any fingernails. If you can probably see that. I don't really have any fingernails, and so it's kind of difficult to get under there. And I also know some of my customers that have like acrylic nails, they have trouble getting underneath these kind of things too to get them off the sheet. So using the piercing tool or a pair of our paper snips does work pretty well. Okay, we've got one more thing to do. We need to add our little Hey Chick greeting up here. So I have got a strip of the shimmery white paper, and I've got my Hey Chick already mounted. Whip open my black pad that we just used. Get that inked up. All right. There we have Hey Chick. And now I'm going to use our classic label punch to punch this out. And I only need a part of it. I don't need the whole thing because I have it butted up to the edge of my card, so I just need about that much. Okay, so before I glue it down, I'm going to trim off the edge of it just a little bit because I know that it's going to hang over the edge of my card and I don't want it to do that. Snip that off, and then we'll just add a little bit of glue to the side here, back side. And then I'm just going to add this right along the edge of my paper, my card here. I tell you, I'm having some bad luck with my eyeballs today. Okay, I think that's straight. All right, there it is. So we have two Hey Chick Have a Happy Day cards. Oh my gosh, love this stamp set. If you need to order anything to create these cards at home, you can do so by going to my website at shoppingwithbarb.com. I have lots more samples on my blog, barbstamps.com. And if you liked the video and you learned something new, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. It lets me know that what I'm doing is working for you guys. If you've got any ideas for videos you'd like me to do, leave them in the comments and I'll see what I can come up with for you. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate it very much. Have a wonderful day.